the AAOU Secretary General, and I would like to announce the winners of the AAOU Awards 2021. We all have been waiting for this moment, and we are as excited as you are in knowing who have won the much coveted Young Innovator Award, Best Practice Award, and Best Paper Award, with 1 gold medal, 2 silver medals for each category. And of course, the most importantly, we will find out the winner of the prestigious award, AAOU Meritorious Service Award. Let's start with Young Innovator Award. As we know, the Young Innovator Award goes to young, energetic, less than 40 years old scholars. Each year, the Young Innovator Award goes to individuals whose papers show quality, relevance, uniqueness, and success and impact of innovation to the theory and practice of open and distance learning. This year, we have 1 candidate for the Young Innovator Award. The only paper was evaluated by the adjudication committees. 3 appointed persons as the adjudication committees were the chair, Professor Kandar Padas, Vice Chancellor at Krishna Kanta Hindikwi Open University, India. The members are Professor Ok Tae Kim, Professor at Departments of Media, Arts and Cultural Content, Korea National Open University, Dr. Yosef Sabah, Assistant Professor at Al-Quds Open University, Palestine. Ladies and gentlemen, let me now announce upon this assessment. It has been decided that the silver medal of the AAOU Young Innovator Award 2021 is bestowed upon Mr. Kamran Mir from Allama Iqbal Open University, Pakistan, for his paper titled Development of H5P Interactive Video Content in Moodle to Improve the Learner's Engagement in Online Learning. Congratulations to our sole winner of the Young Innovator Award. We hope to motivate you and every young academician to produce and contribute more of the ODL works and follow the footsteps of Mr. Kamran Mir in the future. The silver medalists will be granted a certificate, a plaque, and cash award of $250. Now, let's find out the winner for the Best Practice Award. This award goes to the paper that shows significant practice developed to improve process, method, and show potential for such practice to be replicated and other institutions may adopt, leading to the betterment of ODL practice. This year, the adjudication committees of this award comprise of the first, Professor Alan Tate, Emeritus Professor of Distance Education and Development at the Open University, UK, as the chair. The second, Professor Ho Sung-wo, Professor at Department of E-Learning, Korea National Open University. And the third, Professor Yosef Abuzir, Professor at Al-Quds Open University, Palestine, as the members. For your kind information, there are 6 out of 11 papers which are shortlisted for this award. And here are the authors of the 6 shortlisted papers. The silver medalist for the Best Practice Award goes to and the gold medal for the Best Practice Award goes to Again, congratulations to all the winners of the Best Practice Award. The gold medalist will be granted a certificate, plaque, and cash award of $500, while the silver medalist will be granted a certificate, plaque, and cash award of $250. Now let's move on to the Best Paper Award. We also have the Best Paper Award, which goes to individuals whose paper has relevance of content to the theme and sub-themes of the conference and have a significant contribution to the ODL. The adjudication committees for this award were Professor Lee Kam Cheong, Director of Research at Open University of Hong Kong, as the chair, while the members are Professor Siti Aisyah Hashim, Professor at Open University Malaysia, Dr. Zahid Majid, Director of Academic Planning and Course Production at Allama Iqbal Open University, Pakistan. 6 out of 12 papers are shortlisted for this award, and here are the authors of the 6 shortlisted papers. The silver medalist for the Best Paper Award goes to and the gold medal for the Best Paper Award goes to Congratulations to all the winners of the Best Paper Award. Keep pouring your ideas into valuable writings, and we are always looking forward to more of your masterpieces. The gold medalists will be granted a certificate, plaque, and cash award of $500, while the silver medalist will be granted a certificate, plaque, and cash award of $250. Finally, the most awaited of all, the prestigious AAOU Meritorious Service Award. It has been the tradition of the AAOU to recognize outstanding individuals who have made significant and lasting contribution to the field of distance education and open learning through AAOU Meritorious Service Award, or MSA. 3 appointed persons who were also the recipients of the past AAOU Meritorious Service Award was chosen this year. They are Professor Tian Belawati, former rector at Universitas Terbuka, as the chair. And the members, Professor Wei Yuan Zhang, former head and chief researcher at Space University of Hong Kong, who is currently working at Beijing Normal University. And Dr. Nafid A. Malik, founder and former rector at Virtual University of Pakistan, who currently works for Commonwealth of Learning. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to inform you that this year we have received quite many nominations for this award. There are 17 candidates of the AAOU Meritorious Service Award 2021. It was not an easy task to evaluate so many talents and inspiring persons, but every single document we received has been evaluated thoroughly by the appointed adjudication committees. After rigorous process of the assessment, I hereby announce the winner of the AAOU Meritorious Service Award 2021 goes to Professor Dr. Melinda de la Peña Bandalaria from the University of the Philippines Open University, or UPOU. Professor Dr. Melinda de la Peña Bandalaria has served in the Open and Distance Learning, or ODR sector, as an academic leader in the University of the Philippines for 2 decades. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give my warmest hello to our distinguished speakers today, Dr. Benjamina G. Flor from the University of the Philippines Open University, Ngabdul Halim and Ruth Kirana, the alumni of Universitas Terbuka, Indonesia, Dr. Astri Suhandoko, the lecturer of Universitas Terbuka, and another 500 registrants who have taken some time this morning to join our program. On behalf of the presidents of the AAOU, Professor Ojat Darojat, I would like to welcome you all to the second series of the AAOU webinar, StudentSpirations, episode 1. I'm delighted to be here again today, and I hope everyone is doing well and safe. This time, the AAOU introduced a new concept of webinar where we invite speakers both from lecturers or practitioners and students or alumni of the AAOU members institution, with the expectation to share and receive experiences, motivation, and knowledge from different perspectives, especially for those who have just enrolled the ODL field. Under the theme we bring today, student attrition, we will see how this issue has become a negative tendency in online and distance-based learning. Indeed, there is always a good and bad lies in everything around us, but we need to figure out the best way to solve the drawbacks we might encounter, particularly in ODL. This is the right time for us to evaluate why we, as practitioners and educators, have not yet optimally produced great output of students, and how we, as learners or students, could have ourselves in distance learning mode in spite of this difficult situation we currently are having. By the expertise we will learn from Dr. Benjamina G. Flor, we may understand the cause lie behind this issue and obtain some insight regarding the system, method, or what scheme we should take as educator to nurture our students until they reach their finish line. While through our two other speakers, Ngabdul Halim and Ruth Kirana, you may want to get involved in the discussion how they managed to pass through the difficulties they met in ODL until they finally have finished their studies. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say enjoy the discussion and please be actively engaged. I hope you could pick benefit from this webinar today and gain more notes for yourselves and others. Thank you and have a good day ahead. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before we proceed to the next session, I would like to introduce you to our chair or moderator our today webinar, Dr. Astri D.J. Suhandoko. Okay, Dr. Astri D.J. Dr. Astri is currently a lecturer at Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Terbuka. She joined Universitas Terbuka in 2018 up to present. Her education background is in 2017. She graduated from National University of Tainan, taking Curriculum and Instruction Department of Education. In 2011, she graduated from National Chiayi University, Taiwan, mastering the Master of Education, Elementary and Secondary Education Department. And her bachelor degree in 2008 from University of Indonesia, from Bachelor of Social Anthropology and Department. Her experiences and achievements are from 2018 up to present, the team of Asian Pacific Studies Center for Teaching and Education at Universitas Terbuka, Indonesia. From 2017 to 2018, Insan Gemilang lead the shadow teachers for speech therapy, play therapy, and for special students. From 2011 to 2016, she's her activity in National University of Tainan Fellowship Program. And also in 2011, she got the best performance at International Conference of Education in the University of Brunei Darussalam. Of course, there are some other achievements and experiences that we cannot read today, but I am very sure that Dr. Astri is the right person to lead our webinar today. Dr. Astri, now it is your time to lead the next session. Please, Dr. Astri.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ahmad, for the opportunity. From now and on, I will lead the event. And ladies and gentlemen, I have your attention, please. Our seminar is about to begin. And thank you very much for preparing yourself to join our seminar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. The Honorable Vice Rector for Institutional Development and Partnership of Universitas Terbuka, and also AAOU General Secretary, Mr. Rahmat Budiman, MHUM PhD, the Honorable Keynote speakers, AAOU member institution, and all the participants of this seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Astri D.J. Suhandoko, the moderator of today's seminar. I'm very pleased to see you here and welcome all of you to AAOU webinar, StudentSpirations, with the theme, Student Attrition in ODL, for sharing experiences among students and educators in online and distance education. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our speakers today are Dr. Benjamina G. Flor, as the professor at University of the Philippines Open University. And the second speaker is Mr. Ngabdul Halim, as the managing director and translator, proofreader, and editor at English Startup. And also he is an alumni of Universitas Terbuka Indonesia. And then Ms. Ruth Kirana, as the co-founder and CEO of Megana School. And also she is an alumni of Universitas Terbuka Indonesia. Okay, before the presentation begins, I would like to inform how the presentation will be going on. Okay, first, the speakers will be invited to present the material. After that, there'll be a question and answer session. and closing remarks from all the speakers will be followed afterwards. Okay, currently the seminar is accessed by participants who are in the Zoom room or who are watching live on the UT YouTube channel. So for participants, if you have something in mind, you may type your question in a chat room box or a comment in a column in a YouTube. Okay, then later the committee will pick up some questions from you. Okay, the webinar regulation. Okay, so before sending your question, write your details as follows: your name, your institution or country, and also the intended speaker. And then the other regulation is about requisites of getting the certificate, like filling out the registration form, following the whole program, filling out the feedback form, and then for the e-certificate will not be sent personally to the participants. Instead, the participant need to check AAOU website regularly, starting from the date of certificate issuance mentioned. Okay, it's now my pleasure to introduce our first keynote speaker, Ms. Ruth Kirana. Okay, Ruth Kirana is a businesswoman and an experienced government affairs professional with demonstrated history of working and with high-tech regulators, standard bodies, and also technology companies. And about her education, since he was graduate from Universitas Terbuka from a Bachelor of Arts in 2019, and then she continued her master's degree in public administration in international development in Tsinghua University, Republic of China in 2021. And she has many experiences and achievements. Okay, since 2016 until 2018, she is a program manager at Coding Smart. She also a general secretary for Indonesian Teachers Union, Non-Formal and Informal Education Association. She also a program coordinator at Ministry of Communication and Informatics Indonesia. And she got awarded of a master's scholarship of Tsinghua University in China. And then in 2020, she was an outstanding contribution award to international student affairs. And then the last achievement is from 2021 until present. She's a co-founder and CEO of Megana School. Okay, now allow me to welcome the first speaker, Ms. Ruth Kirana, to deliver her presentation. Ms. Kirana, are you there? Ms. Kirana? Ms. Kirana? My voice clear here?
Hello.
Hello,
Yes.
Miss
Hi.
Kirana. Okay, hello. Okay, Miss Kirana, now you can deliver your presentation. You have 20 minutes to present the material. And now the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Dr. Astri. Firstly, I would like to thank the Asian Association of Open Universities, the AAOU, for inviting me to share my experiences implementing the open and distance learning. I am honored to be speaking here alongside the AAOU Secretary General, Dr. Rahman, with Dr. Astri, Dr. Benjamina, Flor, and my friend, Mr. Khalid. Today, I would talk about my experience being an ODL student, but not that, but also building an ODL school in Indonesia. Hopefully, we can gain insights to the importance of ODL in the future of education. Okay, let's begin. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ruth Kirana. You can call me Ruth. I'm 22 years old and I have been choosing to do open and distance learning for the majority of my school years. The first time would be in my junior all the way to my senior high school when I choose to accelerate my studies through the homeschooling education system, which are provided by the Ministry of Education and Culture of Indonesia. The homeschooling program, the homeschooling program are highly effective and efficient, which resulted in me being able to finish all my schoolwork and graduated at 14 years old. After that, I chose to pursue further studies through Universitas Terbuka, where I study English literature and finished the program in 6 semesters, enabling me to graduate as the youngest Universitas Terbuka graduates. I am grateful to have graduated from the Universitas Terbuka, which is probably the oldest institution in Indonesia to employ the open and distance learning. Studying at UT with the ODL system has given me many life skills and that studying offline would not given me. The most obvious one was the skills of time management. During my bachelor year studying in UT, I have more time to develop my skills, interests, and to participate and even win in many competitions. I am always interested in writing and technology and have the privilege to be the UNICEF Youth Writing Competition finalist and also Microsoft Tempo Digital Media Hackathon winner of Code for the Kingdom International Hackathon, and many more. I am also honored to be an awardee of the Metro TV and Ministry of Health Documentary Filmmaking Award mentorship, which are conducted in 3 months period, which would not be possible if I went to a brick and mortar university. Practicing ODL would also be beneficial for students to gain work and project experience. As for me, I work at the Ministry of Communication and Informatics and work with the biggest tech companies in the world. An experience I would not gain if I was busy studying in offline education. These experiences, being an ODL student, studying online, shapes me to gain valuable experiences that many offline university students might not. I see that as a technology progress, this education sector is also changing for the better. One path to a future where we could provide affordable, accessible, and quality education is, of course, through employing ODL. But will ODL be the future of education, or is it just an alternative for pandemic resolution? Please allow me to share a few challenges being an ODL student that I've experienced from a student perspective, along with the solution that I came up with to ensure ODL supports my education. The first one is, what makes ODL hard to do? Well, the first one is you need to have a strong motivation and self-control. This is the number one concern for anyone enrolling in ODL education. We worry that we won't commit to our educations, and the only solution that you could come up with it is you have to build a schedule. You have to figure out when you're going to do what you're going to do, and then share that with other people to create a sense of responsibility between each other. The second one would be the lack of social interaction. Learning in a brick and mortar institution presents students with the opportunity to meet and interact with people from different locations. Distance learning limits students to classes and learning materials that are based online. But this pandemic actually has shown us how to deal with these challenges. We can conduct Zoom meetings, Google meetings, Instagram Live, and many, many more. We are lucky to live in the era of social media where we can still socialize even when we doesn't meet other people. The third one is difficulties in comprehending the study material. There is no denying that online education is usually self-directed. That means you will only have the study material available online to understand the topic. And while self directed learning allows you to become an independent student, not everyone is good at understanding complex and difficult topics on their own. What you can do is set up a to-do list based on the deadline, so you know what you should do first, what materials you should be learning first. So when the materials they came up, you are already prepared. And even when that doesn't work, you can always contact your tutor, your professor, to set up meetings to gain an insights from them directly. So, uh, when we can identify the challenges that hinders our progress, and as an ODL student, we can produce the solutions. We have discussed the challenges of ODL. Now, we also has to understand what ODL actually allow us to do as a student. So, the first advantage is, I think everyone knows this, when you are enrolled in an OPL system, you have the opportunity to learn at any time. And you have the opportunity to study at your own pace, where students do not have to worry that they will leave their classmates behind. You can always go back to studying complicated questions, watch video lectures, read correspondence from the teacher, and you can skip already known topics. This is something that most brick and mortars institutions couldn't do, that ODL can. You can also study from anywhere, any place. Students can study without leaving our home or office, or we can just go to Bali to study. Because right now, as ODL progresses, we can understand that everyone has their own priorities, and ODL will allow us to set those priorities straight while also gaining the best education that you could. What makes ODL good also is that you can hone time management skills. As I've said before, distance learning caters to a variety of learners, and it's up to the student how and when they will get their assignments done. And whether that's a week or a day before the due date, the process mostly depends on the students. This helps students to practice good time management skills that will serve them well in college and even into adulthood. You can also develop technical skills needed for jobs anywhere. Tech-savvy individuals are in high demand in the workplace, and the majority of distance learning programs use some mode of technology for content delivery. Distance learning programs promote these technical skills that the world needed, that are relevant to many occupations. From distance learning, you can understand how to do online research, word processing, video conferencing, slide presentations, discussion boards, collaborative apps, social networking, email correspondence, and even video creation. So there's no denying online literacy is the future, and distance learning promotes those skills. The last one is you can learn and earn. For most working students, it's quite difficult to manage their studies and job at the same time. And therefore, you may have paused and discontinue your studies. And that's not the case with online learning. With online learning, it allows full-time professionals a flexible study schedule. So we can learn and earn simultaneously. I can do many competitions. I can work at the government while completing my studies. Whether you want to study after 12 in the morning or in the evening, distance learning, ODL, allows you to take lessons at any time of the day. So based on this pro-cons list, we can see that there are challenges to implement ODL, but there are also trade-offs and solutions that ODL can solve. As a student and professional, I believe that ODL can truly be the future of education. If you allow me, I am currently building an education startup based on my experience studying with ODL system in Indonesia and China. Distance learning has now evolved to offer a more viable and affordable alternative to the traditional learning. And I aim to provide this affordable and accessible education to as much student as possible, which is why I returned to Indonesia from China and built Megana School. So Megana School is a fully virtual school that offers personalized, affordable, and effective education for junior and senior high school students. And therefore, I believe that Megana School, employing the ODL system, can empower many more students to utilize ODL to kickstart their life. You may be asking, kickstart their life how? Well, for example, we offer a scholarship program for excellent students, not only in the academic path, but to those that excel in building businesses, being a musician, or being good at sport, being an influencer, YouTuber, gamer, and other interests in the 21st century. By implementing open and distance learning, students can pursue their passion while getting the best education from Megana School. Hopefully, by building Megana School, many more students will utilize ODL as their chosen education system and eventually spark change in the education sector. I believe we all want to make education accessible, and one of the way to for it to be achieved is by implementing a creative, personalized, and effective ODL system. I will stop my presentation here. If there are any further questions, I would be glad to take it in the end of the session. Thank you for listening. Back to you, Dr. Astri.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Kirana, for giving us such informative and interesting presentation. We will continue to the second speaker, okay? And before that, let me inform once again for the participants, if you have something in mind, you may type your question in the chat room box or comment column in YouTube. Adjust to the regulation that committee has made. Okay, let me show you again the webinar regulation. Okay, so before sending your question, write your detail as follows: your name, your institution or country, and also the intended speaker. And the other regulation is about certificate, filling out the registration form, following the whole program, filling out the feedback form, and also about the e-certificate will not be sent personally to the participant. Instead, the participants need to check AAOU website regularly, starting from the date of certificate installation. Okay, moving right along, we continue to the second keynote speaker, Mr. Ngabdul Halim. Okay, for those who don't know, he is also the alumni from Universitas Terbuka Indonesia, and she was graduate from Bachelor of Art in English Literature and Translation Studies. And right now, she is a master's student in English Linguistics at University College London in United Kingdom. And he also has many experiences and also achievements, in 2016 till present. He is a founder and also Managing Director and Translator, Proofreader, Editor at English Startup Indonesia. And 2020, he's an invited speaker of online seminar, How to Reach 550 plus interval. And then 2019, he's awardee of Indonesian Endowment Fund for Education or LP scholarship from the government of the Republic of Indonesia. And then in 2018, he is the best graduate of English Literature and Translation Studies Universitas Terbuka Indonesia. Okay, Mr. Ngabdul Halim, are you there?
Hello.
Hello. Hello, how are you?
So great here. Okay, let me turn on my video first, yeah?
Okay.
All right.
So what time in London now?
Actually, it is 4:30, so it is early in the morning here.
Very early, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
To meet you guys, I need to wake up so early. I think it's a special occasion, yeah?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Ngabdul Halim. Okay, now is your time. You have 20 minutes to present the material. Okay, Mr. Halim, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Astri, for the time. Now I'm going to show my presentation. Oh, wait a moment. I need to show it first. Okay, wait. Sorry, I cannot share my screen because apparently someone is sharing his or her screen.
Okay, the comment might stop, Mr. Halim.
Hello, your voice is breaking up.
Okay, the committee to mind to have Mr. Halim.
Wait a moment.
Yes, are you?
Hello, sir. Could you please try to share it again?
Okay. Do you see my screen now?
Yeah, we can see it.
Just want to check it. All right. Okay, first of all, I would like to introduce myself, yeah? And the presentation that I'm going to present to you today is Surviving and Growing with Open Distant Learning. And I think it is very important for us, particularly open and distant learning students everywhere in the world. And we need to know or recognize the challenges that we are going to encounter, as well as finding the solutions to deal with all of the challenges that we have. And now, this is my, the title that I'm going to present to you, Surviving and Growing with Open and Distant Learning. And my name is Ngabdul Halim. All right, let's introduce myself first. Okay, my name is Ngabdul Halim. People usually call me Halim. Now I'm the founder and the CEO of English Plus Plus. You can check my website in englishplusplus.id. It is actually a startup that I built several years ago, and now it expands significantly in terms of traffic and services and blah, 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 blah. You can take it yourself, guys. And the second one is I'm also a writer in artsip.co as well as Grab Media. So I have published a reference book, particularly in the fields of grammar. Now I'm studying modern English grammar as well as other courses at the University College London. And I'm also a translator and an editor at my own startup, English Plus Plus. And the last one is I'm the scholarship awardee of LPDP. It is actually a scholarship awarded by the government of Indonesia, particularly the Ministry of Finance. And this is my short introduction. Now I'm going to deep down into my presentation. I'm going to break down my topic into four points. The first one, it will focus on challenges of ODL. And the second one, we are going to talk about surviving ODL. And the third is the bright side ODLs. It means that what we can gain from studying at distance or online. And the last one, it is very important that you should take note, is tips to grab. So how you deal with all of the challenges in ODL. Okay, let's go for the very first part. And let's talk about challenges of ODL. And many of you may be questioning what challenges of ODL and what we should prepare to take ODL. And this is actually the experiences or the challenges that I personally experienced when I was taking online and distant learning. And maybe you can add several things to make the list on and on. Actually, I spot 6 of the aspect that I think as the challenge, the main challenges of having ODL. The first one is using software. This is the most crucial part of having ODL today, because you are literally studying at the distance. I mean, you don't attend physical classes. So we need to use a software or technology, and a broad term here, to facilitate the learning. And in this part, you will have, or you might have, difficulty operating a different types of software for conducting distant learning. Let's say some of my friends have difficulty writing emails. For some people, yeah, it may be not an easy task, but for those who don't get accustomed to using emails, it can be quite tricky. So they need to create an account at Gmail or other providers, email providers, I mean, to make the mailing services can run smoothly for distant learning. And besides emails, you can also have difficulty using Microsoft Office packages. For some, yeah, it is not that difficult. I mean, when we type on Microsoft Office, we just type it. And then for some, they can have difficulty because there are so many tools that we can use on it. And it also happens to Microsoft Excel and blah, blah, and blah, blah, blah. And some students, they cannot, submit their assignment just because they don't know how to use this particular software properly. I mean, they want to, combine Microsoft Excel into Microsoft Word. And it's quite tricky to some extent. So you have to learn all of the software to make you easy to do open and distant learning. The second one is keeping connected with internet. I will take an examples in Indonesia. Indonesia is actually an archipelagic country. It has a lot of islands spread from the west to the east, and the connection, the internet connection is not really the same in any region. And some regions, they have difficulty at receiving signals. So they get affected greatly to connect with the systems of ODL. And I think we need to find a way how to deal with these situations, because internet is actually, a kind of something that we really need to be able to do ODL. And if you have this issue, it can affect your academic performance in the end. Let's say when you have due date at a particular, due assignment at a particular date, and you don't have any internet connection, it means you will lose scores. So what you have to do is you need to plan your assignment in your own pace, and then you need to find a good spot to get it, and you just submit it. I mean, you have to find a way around to deal with these kinds of situation. And then beside those two, there is another issue that I ever experienced with online distance learning, that is getting lost in learning. As Ms. Ruth said, when we learn independently, sometimes we just don't understand what the material is. So it also will affect how we do the assignment given by the lectures. In this case, you should read intensively or extensively the materials that you have and find some references related or relevance to them. And you have to do this to avoid getting lost in learning. And the fourth point is interacting with peers. Some students feel so lonely, and I was at the time. I mean, I didn't have a lot of friends compared to my friends attending campus. They have physical lectures. They meet friends on a daily basis. But for me at the time, I didn't bump with, fellow students of my study programs at the time. It's quite difficult at the time because I felt so lonely. I did everything on my own. So you might feel isolated or alone as you don't meet other students face to face, and you need to prepare this for online learning. And the next part is staying motivated. Of course, when you don't have friends on your side and you do everything's online, it means you will have a very minimum supervision of your study. And sometimes you just don't care about your assignments or your reading materials, particularly when you get busy with your activities. So you can easily lose your motivation to do working and the supervision provided by the distant learning. And the last one, I think it's also quite important. That is gaining credibility. At first, I felt so doubtful about the credibility of my earned degree, whether the prospective employer will, recognize me and my degree, because I was a fully online student. So I have doubt at that time. And this is the points. This is the 6 points that I ever encountered when I was conducting online distance learning. So this is basically the challenges that you might also experience at this time. Okay, then how to deal with all of this? Okay, then let's figure out. Okay, for the second part, I'm going to talk about surviving online and distant learning. How to survive the ODL. Okay, now let's break down the challenges and the solutions. First, we have 6 challenges that we are going to encounter. That is using software and keeping connected with the internet, getting lost in learning, interacting with peers, staying motivated, and the last one, gaining credibility. And actually, this is the solutions that I provide. First, for using software, you have to be willing to learn how to operate it. I mean, you should learn how to use PC. If you don't accustomed to using PC or laptop or tablet or other electronic devices, because it is very important to make your online and distant learning run smoothly. You have to know how to use these tools, and also the software, that's Microsoft Office packages, because you have to do your assignment, you have to make presentations on so on and so forth. And also you have to learn how to deal with learning tools. This is very crucial, because if you don't, you cannot access a learning. It means you will, lack everything literally. I mean, when we have online learning at Universitas Terbuka in particular, you will have a learning website, and you should access the website on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, in order to gain what you should do with your courses and other things. So it is quite important to learn how everything works at a learning. And of course, emails, because the email correspondent will be useful in contacting the tutors and asking questions and so on and so forth. And for the second challenge is to keep connected with internet. I recommend that you have a good SIM card or spots for the internet connections, because if you don't, it can affect your learning performance that I have mentioned earlier. So it's simply you can go to Wi-Fi ID. Thanks to UT for providing this for the last couple years. And maybe you can go to CD for better connection, because CD usually provides, provide more reliable internet connection in many spots. And co-working space is also a nice place to study and connect to the internet. I usually did this occasionally when I was a student at Universitas Terbuka. And then for the third challenge, getting lost in learning, I do recommend you to read the modules, but intensively and extensively, and as tutors for help wherever possible. I know maybe you don't meet the teachers, but somehow when you get online at e-learning, you will see that some of your teachers are online. So it is a great time for you to write them a message privately. I mean, if you have any question, just drop them messages. Or you can drop messages, so whenever your teachers are online, they can answer your questions. And of course, you need to be patient to get the answer if they are not online extensively. And this is that I do when I was a student. That is, read the modules attentively and look for additional references. You can go for books, articles, report, news, and blah, blah, blah. And when you make your assignment, make sure that you present the most current data to make it more appealing to read, or add some, textbooks other than provided by your university. And it means that you have another perspective from a different sources. That's my point. And for the next problem is interacting with peers. It is actually, quite tricky. And what I did was just seek fellow students or create a study or a discussion group and follow UT Sosmed groups via Facebook or Instagram. I think it is much easier to do this at the present day because there are a lot of groups available to join in the social media. Why? Because when you connected with friends, you will not feel lonely anymore because you have friends, even though it is in the internet or online. But that's okay. It means you can interact with them, you can ask with them, or you can share your thoughts between each other. How you should do the assignment, how to see several courses in the learning if you have problems with it, or you can ask for learning together or something. And then next, staying motivated. This is also very important. All I did was to make study plans and goals. It is very important. And what you have to do is decide what GPA you want to achieve. Okay, if you want to get 3.5 or you want to get cum laude, so you have to learn on your own pace with commitment. I mean, whenever you get busy, you should find time slots to study. You have to make commitment to your fully online study. And how many courses that you want to take termly. I mean, if you want to take 24 credits, it means you have to allocate more times to accomplish them. And you have to arrange everything in advance. So what I'm going to say is you should plan your own study as well as the goals that you want to achieve with your plan. And the last one is gaining credibility. Actually, when I was coming to UT, Universitas Terbuka, at the first time, I was quite doubtful whether the prospective employers will, recognize my degree or not, because I conducted all of the study online. And actually, I did some research by tracing the accreditation and alumni, and know that UT has good accreditation and notable alumni. I will talk about this later. Okay, for surviving the ODL, read both intensively and extensively and ask tutors for help whenever possible. And now I will show you, this is how I learned when I was doing my BA. That's, it's quite creative. Yeah, I read all of the module intensively. I will make notes. I will underline something that I think important. This is what I do. And the second one, seek fellow students and create study groups and follow Universitas Terbuka Sosmed groups via Facebook or IG or Instagram, I mean. This is, I just do some search on Facebook and I find this. So you can see that the number of the members of the first group is very staggering. It was 24, it's almost 25,000 members. In this group, of course, you can exchange your mind. If you have problem, you can drop there. So many other students will help you out if you, have issues with learning or something. And the second one is actually the brands that I was registering myself. So you can also find your own brands at a particular, for your particular places, yeah, or cities.
Pardon
Okay.
me, Mr. Halim.
Hello.
Pardon me. Pardon me, Mr. Halim.
Yeah, of course.
You have 8 minutes left. Okay.
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 I'll make it faster. And the next one is make your study plan goal. And this is what I did when I was a student. And you can see I almost got A in most of the courses that I was taking because I make my own plan and do some research for the accreditation and alumni. And this is things that you can see for the quality assurance at Universitas Terbuka. And the bright sides of ODL, okay, let's have a quick look. And the skills that I have gained from doing online and distant learning is actually independent. I gain a great independence. And because besides independent, I also gain some other skills that are very useful for my study now at the University College London at the UK. This is the self-discipline and motivations, and then, flexible, tech savvy, or tech literate, and credibility, time management, and strategist, and passionate about learning, because I need to be curious about my study, and I should find or figure out more about my study. And of course, I will get local and international friends by studying online, because you will see some of your friends are studying from abroad. And this is the survey that done by Career Builder that just recently, actually, 83% of executives consider an online degree as credible as one earned through traditional programs. It means, more recognition given to online learning student. And a similar study also found that 61% of HR leaders view online credential as equals to those completed in person. It's more than half is very good. Okay, this is actually the proof that I was recognized by one of the prestigious universities in the UK. I got a conditional offer from UCL, the London. And when you compare that this university in 2022 conducted by GS, UCL is actually on the 8th rank, after MIT, Oxford, Stanford, Cambridge, Harvard, Caltech, Imperial, and blah, blah, blah. My point is you can study online and you will get recognized by great universities. That's my point. And this is, you can see that UCL is actually a prestigious uni here, because just recently the Duchess of Cambridge visited UCL to meet ideas of researchers or blah, blah, blah. So you can see that UCL is very reputable here. And I got admitted to this university. And this is, a photo taken in front of the main quad of UCL. Okay, it's just a casual selfie. All right, this is the first castle that I visited in the UK, Cardiff Castle in Wales, UK. And the alumni, when we talk about alumni, I have found several notable alumni. You can see Pak Bambang Sumintono. He is actually a lecturer at the University of Malaya, the oldest university in Malaysia, very reputable. And here is just another one. Mbak Yuliati is studying in Portugal now. And it's another example. Okay, tips to grab. So what I can give you, first, know how to use tech, because it is very important. Tech will facilitate your learning. And the second, manage your time properly. When to work, study, and play. It's very crucial. You make your own management. And for third, be independent and self-driven. I mean, you should be independent and self-driven. You should map out your own study, and you should know what to do with your online study. And fourth, make a roadmap of your study, what you want to do, what you want to achieve, or so on and so forth. And get connected with other friends, because you need to communicate. You need to speak your mind. You need to exchange your ideas with your colleagues. And the last one is be resilient and great degree as you want. If you want to get cum laude, I mean 3.5, so you should study hard to get it. Okay. And now I'm here at the England, UK for my master degree. And the resilience is the ability to bounce back from life's challenges and enforcing difficulties, providing mental protection from emotion and mental disorder, cited from Michael Roger. So you have to bounce back from the challenges and difficulties for your own good. And if you have dreams, of course, with your study, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of your dream. So if you have dream and you have to get online for your study, that's okay, because you can break the rules, because if you believe your dream, it will come true. And I did. Okay, thank you. If you want me to get connected, you can find me in Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, blogs, or my website, or my startup, englishplus.id. Right? If you have any question, just have it, and you can drop it in the chat box. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ngabdul Halim, for giving us
Yeah, you're
such
welcome.
thoughtful and captivating presentation, and also the amazing roadmap. That's a very good one. That's a very good one. Okay, let we continue to the next speaker. And before that, let me inform once again for the participants, if you have something in mind, you have typed your question in the chat room box or comment column on YouTube, and adjust to the regulation that committee have made. And I will read again about the regulation for this webinar.
Oh yeah, I have a
Okay,
question.
yeah.
Can I show my short video, or
Oh,
skip it?
how many
Only
minutes?
1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute. Only 1 minute.
Is that okay, committee? I think okay, right? Okay, 1 minute is okay.
All right.
Okay,
Hope that you will get motivated. Yeah. So
okay.
just wanna.
Thank you so much.
This part of my journey.
Mr. Ngabdul, could you please stop sharing your screen first so you can play the video? Thank you.
Mr. Halim?
Hello.
We can't see your video. Maybe
Oh,
you need to stop.
okay.
Oh,
wait a moment. Okay, wait. Okay, sorry. What about now?
Okay.
Okay. You see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, I will give it a go. I will
Maybe
go,
you
yeah?
need to make again the screen.
Okay.
It's very small here.
It's very small, all right.
Yes.
Well, actually, this is my full screen. Just want to play it, yeah?
There's no sound. We don't hear the sound. Mr. Halim, is it has a voice? It has a sound because we don't hear the sound.
You cannot hear the voice?
Yes, cannot hear the sound. Yeah, until the end.
Alright. Oh, okay. Actually, the sound is one of the most exciting to hear. But I don't know, it's maybe a technical problems or something here.
Okay, maybe later you can inform about the video in a short comment.
Yeah, yes, of course.
Explain short. Okay, you want to
Yep.
explain now?
About this
The
video?
Yes, yes. Maybe
it is
short comment.
okay. I will give you a brief explanation of this video. It is actually you know, the journey of my departure to the UK. I just you know, depart from my village and then go to the city to take flight, and finally I go to Jakarta for you know, kind of international flights, and then I just transit in Dubai, and finally I can land at the Heathrow airport for hotel quarantine after that.
Oh, wow. Must be very inspiration video. Okay, thank you so much, Mr.
Yeah,
Ali,
you're welcome.
for
Hope
your
you get
presentation. Okay.
inspired and motivated, guys.
Yeah, must be. Thank you. Okay, see you again in a Q&A session, okay?
All right.
Okay. We continue to the next session for the third speaker, and I will read again the regulation. Okay, before sending your question, please give your details, your name, institution or country, and also intended speaker, and requisite the getting the certificate. You need to filling out the registration form, following the whole program, filling out the feedback form, and also the e-certificate will not be sent personally to the participant. Instead, the participants need to check AAOU website regularly, starting from the date of certificate issuance mentioned. Okay, so this is the last session. We come to the third speaker, Dr. Benjamina G. Flor. Okay, she's a professor from University of the Philippines, Los Baños, since 2005 to present. Okay, about her education, she was graduate from Bachelor of Science in Development Communication, University of the Philippines, Los Baños, and in 1989, he was graduate from Master of Science in Development Communication from the same university, University of the Philippines, Los Baños. And then for her doctoral degree, she was graduate from Development Communication Department in University of the Philippines. And she must has many experiences and also achievements. And here are some of them. From 2011, she is a research person on social marketing and advocacy at Hasanuddin University, Indonesia. And from 2019 until 2021, she is a UP Scientific Productivity System, or UP Scientist 2. And then from 2017 until present, he is the director of Learning Research Center in University of the Philippines, Los Baños. Okay, I invite Dr. Benjamina G. Flor to deliver her presentation. Dr. Benjamina, are you there? Are you already in the room? Hello.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone.
Hello. Yeah, good
So I'm so happy to be here. Ibu-ibu,
Okay.
bapak-bapak sekalian, dosen-dosen. So good afternoon, everyone. So I would like to share my screen.
Okay, you have 20 minutes to present the material, Doctor. And now the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, so again, good afternoon to everyone, and salamat siang. So the sudden shift from traditional to remote learning was unprecedented. We did not expect this to happen in these times. So here in the Philippines, we have to respond to the call of the Commission on Higher Education to follow strictly the guidelines set by the country's Interagency Task Force, or what we call IATF, on the suspension of face-to-face in-person classes until its further directives, of course, due to COVID-19. And I titled my paper, A Deep Dive into the Myth of Online Learning Inferiority, Comparison of Pre-Pandemic and Pandemic Cohorts. So the case in point is the Bachelor of Science in Development Communication program of the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. So here I would like to set the student profile prior to the pandemic, during the second semester of 2019-2020, when the pandemic started. So students then attended the university in person, face-to-face. And then we have continuing students from earlier batches, 2019, 2018, 2017, even some from 2016, 2014, 15, 14, and even earlier. And so our students are mostly more than 20 years old. And usually they carry a study load of 18 units per semester. And at that time, they need to do library research on materials to be studied. They are considered millennials, or they are those born from 1981 to 1996, or ages 23 to 38 in 2019. On the other hand, the student profile during the pandemic were 18 to 19 years old, so they're a bit younger. They just completed senior high school through online learning, at least a few months before they graduated. So they were able to experience, some of them were able to experience how to study online using different learning management systems. They attended university, so it's their first time to enter university through remote teaching and learning, or here we call it RTL, as a form of distance education. So it's kind of blended in a sense. They carry a regular load of 12 units to 23 units, probably that is equivalent to your credits. And then we provided them with modules, with links, with self-assessment questions, indicative dates for synchronous sessions. Yes, we have synchronous sessions. We record our lectures and made those lectures available for those who are not able to attend online. And this generation, they belong to the Gen Z, born from 1997 onwards. And this generation is labeled to be the most well-educated generation so far. So let me give you the situationer of these students. So our program, teaching most development communication courses, require face-to-face interactions with stakeholders. So we work with different stakeholders. So all our DevCom courses, as you know, were offered online. But of course, we also do this offline through distribution of course packs that the college prepared for students who have no internet connection or very poor internet connectivity. And we have what we call an academic field instruction, who closely coordinates with partner agencies and also conducted activities online. So just imagine doing fieldwork online. And of course, no in-person student activities were allowed, regardless of the nature of the subject, except the thesis conduct, which is an agreement, of course, between the student and the advisor. And you have to have permission before you could even get into the university. So Google Classroom and Moodle were used as the learning management system. And for synchronous sessions, conferencing tools like Zoom as official platform, which the university subscribed to, became our mode of communicating with the students online. Asynchronously, chats via Facebook Messenger or other instant messaging apps were employed along with our official email accounts. But of course, while instant messaging apps were prohibited for use, this was employed for easy access and response to communicate urgent announcements and changes in schedule or deadlines that may have not been part of the original learning sequence as indicated in the course pack. So instructional materials were not to be circulated using instant messaging apps, but limited to the learning management system or official email accounts of our students. That is to prevent materials getting into the hands of others that we do not want them to be handling this. So since March 2020, the UP system had a battery of webinars on various topics to prepare teachers before migrating to remote teaching and learning, because this is the first time that we were doing it. Suffice to say, teachers had a crash course on remote teaching and learning barely a few months before the first semester started. Both teachers and continuing regular students were somehow groping toward embracing a new teaching and learning pedagogy. And while the transition was difficult for teachers, it was more cumbersome for students, more difficult for students. However, most incoming freshmen already experienced online learning due to their senior high schools. Hence, we could assume that they were familiar to the new teaching and learning style that they will undertake in university, which is UPLB. And as per recommendation from the UP system, UP Los Baños has, or the UP system has several campuses, one of which is UPLB. So in 2011, they issued a memorandum that all CUs, constituent units, are encouraged to restructure the program by allowing students to enroll between only 12 to 15 units per semester and 9 units during the mid-year to avoid delays in the graduation of students. So accommodating all constraints, including the courses that continuing students should take, the college came up with a 4-year redesign to spread out allocation of the 145-unit SID BSDC curriculum. So courses were redesigned based on preparation for course delivery, course outline, lesson, etc. Like how much percentage of the content had to be shelved. And assessment plans, we have done that as well. And overall, contents of all courses remain the same, whether this be through online or offline delivery modes, but only the number of courses to be taken per semester was done. So this is how our curriculum would look like. So if you notice, we have 145 units, but in reality, they are taking 160 units. That would include our NSPP and our PE courses. So if you notice, students have to take 15 units or reduce it to 12 so that they will be able to graduate on time. Mid-year is equivalent maybe to your summer. So this is after the second semester. And every mid-year, that's only for 1 month, but they will have to take 9 units. Again, it's kind of heavy, but there is no other way but to do that. So assessments, however, were likewise adjusted to accommodate various circumstances that may have hampered the teaching learning process. So an undergraduate done by a BSDC student showed that course materials were easy to understand and follow. So there was this graduate thesis advisee of mine who did a study on how do our new students who are doing online learning, what were their experience in doing that? And they said that the materials were kind of easy to understand and easy to follow. Their teachers were accommodating, so they were always online and able to answer their questions. So the problem now lies probably on the mindset of the pre-pandemic students who migrated to remote learning. So students with poor or no good internet access were provided course packs or your modules maybe, either both in hard copy or flash disk or both. So we gave them USBs as well. Also, we did a readiness survey, which was rolled out to determine the students who needed the offline assistance as basis on what set of reading materials shall be sent. Materials were sent through courier, whichever is nearest to the student, in case they live in far-flung areas. So students were asked to collect the materials from the courier service if this is not available in their locality. Otherwise, these materials were delivered to their homes directly. And like an assembly line, each stage in the workflow, a person in charge was assigned to have a more systematic process of course pack distribution. So this is how we decided on who should get the course pack. So like an assembly line, it is like coming up with a car, no? Each station had a person in charge to make sure that the parcel reaches the student. So what are the results of these initiatives? So out of 445 enrollees at that time, no, during the second semester of 2021, 295 completed all courses, which is around 66%. 120 or 27% partially completed, and less than 10% had incurred a grade of INC, which means incomplete, and had not completed any, either incomplete or drop, or both. In online course offerings, as we all know, the usual completion rate is 60% because of the nature of course delivery. And this is expected, especially that students were used to conventional classrooms. The data also showed that freshman students have higher completion rates because perhaps they have no basis for comparison, being products of online learning in the past year. However, like many other programs, BSDC has students from earlier batches, with some of whom found more difficulties coping with the new learning setup. There are 24 students from batch 2009 to 2014, of which 11 did not complete any of their enrolled courses. For batch 2015, there were 29 students with 8 not completing any course. For 2016, there were 14 with 3 not completing all courses enrolled during the second semester of 2020-2021. For batch 2017, 8 students are still to complete their degrees, with some partially completed courses enrolled. For 2018, the batch expected to graduate this coming school year, 2021-2022, there were 91 students, with only 4 students not completing all their courses, but with 12 students incurring an INC. And for batch 2019, there were 149 students, with 6 not completing all courses and 33 with INC. And for the pandemic cohort, the last batch, batch 2020, out of 153, 6 were not able to complete their courses and 17 incurring an INC with a grade point average. We call it GPA. Your GPA, we call it GWA, General Weighted Grade Average of 1.5, which is, I would consider, very high, based on a mode of 18 units workload, not even 12, not even 15. And this is a good indication that this cohort may be able to adapt to flexible learning in the years to come, despite carrying a regular load on top of the NSTP and PE courses simultaneously. So why would the pandemic cohort did better? Perhaps assumption would be they completed their senior year through online learning before they entered the university. That's one. They may have less psychological baggage, so they can adapt well. They are more tech savvy. They have more skills in circumventing the process, maybe. There could be other services like CourseHero.com. Perhaps they are more networking savvy, being the youngest generation. They have also been recipients of well-developed course packs that contained all the reading, self-assessment questions, and exercises were limited to the most essentials. Hence, if a student has no psychological baggage, online learning may be all right as an alternative to traditional education with or without a pandemic. And looking at the last 3 years, 2018, 2019, and 2020, it appears that the older the student has, the lower the possibility of completing the term. The students in 2018 started with 160, but only 100 are expected to graduate by 2021. The 2019, which is younger, is faring well with less dropouts and number of failing students. If the pandemic continues, it seems that the 2020 cohort will have a higher completion rate compared to the pre-pandemic cohorts. It appears that those who should have graduated long before are still in school, and the more that they found difficulty finishing the degree through distance education. Those who entered the university in 2009 still have not graduated, who are in their late 20s. Similarly, the trend shows that the older they get, the longer it takes for them to complete their degrees at an older age. They should have finished their degrees within 4 years, but due to some reasons, they were not, and the completion was further delayed by the pandemic. However, those who are younger from 2018 onwards were on time. This implies that the older the student, the higher the propensity of not completing the degree on time. So as seen in the age distribution and retention rate, you could see that the older they get, the less probability that they will complete the degree. So I did a small study among second-year students now and asked them what one factor drove them to take on online learning. Fear of delay in graduation came out as the foremost reason. A second question, what is your secret for continuously studying online? Consistently, it is their goal that pushed them to carry on and taking enough rest in doing their studies. Rest is indeed an important factor so that students will not feel overwhelmed. Third question, what would you tell students who find difficulty studying online? And they said they should find time and they should manage their study by doing or practicing time management. In conclusion, the results imply that regardless of the learning modality, students have presumably accepted to study remotely, which means that online learning being viewed as inferior may no longer be viewed as such because everyone else is on the same learning platform. The pandemic has debunked that distance education is less effective and unpopular to students because their only choice is to study online. So that's not true. So given this experience in online education, it seems that younger students have learned to adapt quickly to the alternative learning pedagogy. It implies that technology-based education may soon become a regular mode of learning delivery given its affordances. Perhaps it's also because Gen Zs are labeled to be the most well-educated generation so far. Gen Zers are presumed to be in school than working, unlike their predecessors. They are also forward-looking and responsible. They save for their future and to ensure that they must complete their education regardless of delivery modes. So what would be the way forward? So in anticipation of natural or man-made calamities, learning management systems should be cloud-based. Files should also be done through Google Docs or Drives to ensure security and easy access. Since there are natural or man-made calamities which can be location-specific, the faculty in charge should be aware of the locations of their students. Utmost diligence and understanding should be accorded to students who have suffered or are suffering from COVID or other disease, or any harm that the student may have encountered. A system of monitoring the welfare of students should be maintained and acted upon.
We still have 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So it would also be good if the college constituents can extend assistance to members who are badly affected by these natural or man-made calamities to lessen the burden of students, even the staff involved. So students who may have indicated that they have stable connections during the early part of the semester should be checked, and if needed, course packs will be sent as well. Incidentally, a quick comparison of those with course packs, albeit fewer than those without, showed that less than 60% of students completed all courses enrolled during the first semester, and over a little 10% during the second semester were able to pass all these subjects. The course packs, however, were found useful even if not everyone completed, because if there were no course packs, maybe all 69 students who needed may have dropped as well. So it would also be good if the faculty in charge could have a regular kamustahan, hapakabar of each student, just so to know their physical condition. And if they need help, they could be referred to the Office of the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs or an online doctor for consultation. And it is incumbent upon the faculty to reach out to their students in times of natural or man-made calamities. And as of today, the total enrollment of the first semester is 565 with the addition of 123 new freshmen, which goes to show that distance education will continue to be the default learning mode for now and no longer an option. Students have learned to adapt to the new normal. And as director of the Learning Resource Center, I would like to invite you to visit our page. So our page contains a lot of reminders, wellness programs, how to study online that may somehow be of use to your studying online. So thank you in anticipation of your visit and gaining some learning from our posts. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Professor Benjamina for giving us such informative and interesting presentation. From you, we learned about one of the positive side of the COVID-19 pandemic is that distance learning becoming more popular among Gen Z. And because it is an alternative learning solution that not only accelerates their expertise in technology, but also provide meaningful learning for them. Thank you so much, Professor. So, thank you. Terima kasih. Okay, we continue. Okay, okay, we continue to the next session for Q&A session. Okay, let me ask the committee, is there any question for the speakers? Please go to the question first. Okay. Okay. We already has a question here from Joko Istianto from UT Jember. Okay, to all speakers. Okay, you all haven't talked yet to us about all your barriers you face in your experiences when serve the students. For Dr. Flor, this is for Dr. Flor, and as a student for yourself, for Ngabdul and Ruth. Okay, maybe I will give the first, okay, for Dr. Benjamina, do you mind to address the question?
Not at all. Yes, thank you for your question. Yeah, because we did a study, so the barriers really were more on internet connection, slow internet connection. Some students only use data to connect, and that is why we do a survey of these students, and then we send them course packs, like modules. And these modules are self-contained, so they really don't have to go to the library. But because they have some connection of some sort, they could send the responses through email. But they could not join our synchronous classes, but they could access the Google Classroom. Now we're using Canvas and Moodle for this semester. We're starting to use Canvas. So again, it's the learning curve. And as I have said, there was this student who did a study. There were not much barriers in terms of adapting to the new learning mode because of the quality of the students, the younger students. But there were more problems with the older students. And so what we do is really to provide extra time and have more compassion in terms of dealing with these students. But mostly the problem, I think, is on the mindset of the students. They do not want to let go of in-person traditional classes for the older students. But for the younger students, 2020, they haven't tried. They haven't tried going to the university. But of course, I know they regretted that they have not done that because they have friends who have gone offline and they would have shared their experiences. But because it's not allowed, so they will just have to embrace what is offered to them, given that they have no choice. But you see the reasons that they forwarded, it's their goal. They want to graduate on time. So regardless of what mode it would be, it's pasti. I have to graduate. So whatever mode would that be, I will take that mode. So basically, it's more of technology is the barrier.
Okay, thank you so much for the answer, Professor. Okay, let me, okay, would Mr. Halim, are you there? Do you mind to address the question for Mr. Joko? Mr. Halim?
Yes, of course.
Okay,
Do you hear my voice?
please. Yes, clearly.
Okay. The question focus on the barriers, yeah?
Right.
All right. Actually, when I was conducting open and distant learning, it's purely based on my experience. Yeah, the barrier that I have experienced actually in, the internet, of course, because I live in a rural area that sometimes so hard to get connected to the internet connection. That's the first, but I can go to a city nearest to my, my village. It's maybe 1 hour drive. So I think that it is the effort that I need to make to, to get my study, or I mean, to get my degree. There is something that I should not sacrifice, but something that I should do, or something that I need to deal with for my degree. I mean, I will do my best to get what best for me. That's the education. So whatever the problem, I try to find the solutions and give it a shot. So when I have the internet connection, I just go to places like a city or Wi-Fi ID, as you said, because I used to go to this place because the internet connection was far more reliable than what I had in my village at the time. So I just went there. And the second one, the internet connections, is not the only thing. The financial problem was there as well, because I was from a financially challenged or economically challenged family. I should work so hard to earn to earn a living, and I also funded my sister education, my younger sister. I was the sixth child of my family, and I still have 3 siblings, and I should work to earn money for my sister education. That's why I work more than 8 hours a day. And I need to manage my time very well in order to achieve what I have planned. I mean, I want to get 3.5 or even more for my undergraduate degree, because it will pave the way for me to earn master degree. And finally I got it. And what I did was I was looking for scholarship, and I got it in my second semester at UT. And it is going on and on, because I got no.
Hello?
And for the advantage of this is actually I was appointed as the delegate for this portion UT.
Okay.
And I was the first champion
Wow.
at that time. Yeah, I was the first winner.
Wow.
And I also wrote books and published it with Gramedia, so I could
right?
earn money. Yeah, I earned
2 books.
money. So
Yeah, I read that.
my point is, there are always ways. There are always ways for you to do to get the barriers away. You need to be creative.
Okay.
That's it. Everyone has their own difficulties. That's the point that I'm going to make. And you should find your ways to.
Hello?
That's it.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. So two, right? Technology and economic problem, but you can cope it, can solve the problem, right? Thank you so much, Mr. Halim. And then we will hear the other answer from Miss Kirana. Are you there?
Hello.
Okay, Miss
Yes.
Kirana. So what is the answer?
Yeah.
What is your
Doctor.
barriers? Yes.
Yes, Dr. Flor and Mr. Halim already actually said all the challenges that ODL students have undergone. But for me personally, um, the strong motivation and self-control is the one that most people struggle for and what I used to struggle for. But thankfully, with with planning ahead and knowing what your goals are, you can overcome that because you get to set your goals, and then you get to you get to set your to-do list every day, and that way you doesn't get stressed out because of it, and you will get inspired by your goals. And the second one is, I think many people right now is experiencing this. The most difficult part of doing an ODL, if the university is an offline university, is the feeling of missing out, the FOMO that comes with it, that Dr. Flor has mentioned before, because we see other people are having fun in the university while we are kind of stuck. Yeah, while we're kind of stuck in our house. I think that's the hardest part. But the bright side is that you get to use your time for something else, not going to the school. Is, when you are in an offline university, you have to prepare to go to class. That takes time. You have to go through the transportation, you have to take the train, you have to take the bus to go there, and
Right.
it is not highly effective. While in ODL, you just wake up,
And
and then
open
you
your laptop, right?
open your laptop and just listen and
Mm.
write what you know, and you get to have more time for research. So
Mm.
there is a downside to not being able to go to an offline university, but there is also a bright side. As I
Mm.
said before, you get to study at your own pace. You have the opportunity to learn at any time, and you also can go anywhere. You can go to
Mm.
Bali and then have your vacation
Okay, good.
and do your
Okay, good
university
point, good
works.
point. Okay, good point. So, first is about social issues, right? And the other one about to maintain your motivation. Okay, very good point, Miss Kirana. Okay, okay, we will see the next question. Okay, this is from Mrs. Yan Budiargo. Okay, for Ruth and Ngabdul. Okay, we proud of you. Two of the speakers are UT alumni, as we know that virtual interaction lack of social side. So it is difficult to build relationship as like as face to face. My question goes to Ms. Ruth and Mr. Ngabdul. With this condition, what did you do with the interaction between you and your lecturer, and how did you build it? Did you have a good relationship or spiritual bond with your lecturer or peers in UT? Okay, who's the first? Mr. Ngabdul or Miss Kirana? Maybe Mr. Ngabdul first? Do you mind to address the question from
I
Mrs.
think
Dian
female
Budiargo?
first.
Okay, female first. Okay, Miss Kirana, do you mind to answer first?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
please.
don't mind. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you, Dian, for saying that. That means a lot. And your question is about how to maintain the interaction between me and my lecturer. I actually have graduated from UT from 2018, so I don't I don't go to UT anymore. But when the pandemic starts, I was getting my master's degree from Tsinghua University in China, and I was in Indonesia trying to complete my master's degree here. And what I do to maintain a good relationship there is you get to check on your friends, because so many times we just want people to check on us without us wants to check how they're doing, you know. So how to maintain the relationship is you get to talk to them. You have their WhatsApp, you have their WeChat, you ask them how they're doing, and from there you can, you know, share your experiences doing online education, and what we should do about maintaining the social relationship. And we live in the age of social media now, so I don't think it's that hard to keep up with what everybody's doing. You just need to follow their Instagram, their Facebook, their YouTube, and you can see how they're doing. People update their Insta story every day, and maintaining the relationship is probably just as easy as mentioning them in the comments or replying to their Insta story. I think that's one of the way to maintain your relationship with your peers. And for lecturers, you just need to be respectful to them and ask them how you're doing. If you're writing your thesis and you need to build that relationship with your advisor, maintain weekly meetings where you get to talk about the progress you made for your thesis, and you can set the target for next week. I think that's from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, next, Mr. Khalid, please.
Okay, thank you for the question, Miss Dian. I will address, you know, the relationship between peers first before me and lecturers at that time. For peers, I did, you know, I have a good bonding with them, because when I attended new student orientation, I found some people taking the same major as me. Then we make a private group of WhatsApp, so we interact intensively and talk about how was going with our study, like assignments and you know, term semester and on and on. So we really did interact to a great extent for our study, and yeah, we could create a good relationship, or we could build emotional bond with my, you know, my friends at the time, but it's a small numbers of people. And what's make it special is we are all invited to attend a graduation at Universitas Terbuka Tangerang. So we came there together in a small group, of course, as I said before, and we arranged everything together. I mean, you should book the tickets for the train. I should reserve rooms for the hotel, and you should do this and that. So you can say that we really, you know, builds cooperation even after our studies, and this is for peers. And for you know, virtual group like in Instagrams or Facebook, I also sometimes drop questions on that particular groups, because I had some problems with things at a learning or submission. So I just dropped the question, and many people, you know, express their the same problems. So this goes on, and some try to help us by giving solutions. So you see that even though it is a virtual group, there are lots of people or peers that are willing to help us. So, and I think it's a good thing. Even though it is online, but I can feel the atmospheres of friendship. And for lectures, I didn't communicate with them a lot because, as I said, I go to the learning, and sometimes I saw them online. And if I had a question, I just asked them directly through private message, because there was a feature of sending a private message to lecturers. And sometimes if I saw something misleading from the materials given by tutor, I emailed them privately and make some correction. So it is a kind of discussion, and then they just accept the recommendation or my thoughts. They respond, and then they try to correct the explanation, so people will make the thread longer, and on and on. And sometimes I also feeling so eager to check everything on the forum discussion, because when I make a pause, people keep commenting, and I really love this. There is interaction there.
Because there will be a two-way interaction, right?
Yeah, two-way interaction.
Okay, good. Thank you so much for the answer, Mr. Halim. Okay,
You're
we
welcome.
will continue to the next question because of the limited time. So, okay, this is from Murni from Surabaya. Okay, to Dr. Benjamina Flor. Okay, based on your experience, what challenge that most UPOU encounter that make them not progress to the following semester? Okay, Professor, would you address the question from Ms. Murni?
Thank you for your question, Ms. Murni. Yeah, because in UPOU, they already know that the platform is online, unlike in UPLB. But the problem in UPOU is really most, if not all students, are already working. So it's juggling their time as employee, as a mother, now as a teacher, because their children also have to study online. No? Small kids, anak kecil, they have to study online. So they have to attend to them as well. And so it's more difficult for them to juggle between work, household, and their self. No? The me time is very limited. And so actually, this is one thing that we are trying to do something about it. In my case, as a teacher at the UP Open University, I've been teaching since 2010. I usually create a group chat where I could talk to my students every day. But of course, you have to be prepared, because like this semester, my student is in one class is 153. So my group chat has 153 members. So just imagine the back read that you need to make if you do not go online. So with that group chat, we are able to update one another. We're able to tell them that we have this schedule, or we have these assignments, or anything under the sun. Sometimes we send paintings of what we did, just so we call it good vibes. No, so we send good pictures. We send not really a good morning greeting, no? But more of inspiring words that would somehow uplift the spirit of our students. Maybe not all teachers would do this, but in my case, I have done several group chats already, and I also have this technique which I call TIME. TIME stands for Teacher-Initiated Model of Engagement. So I really run after my students, no? Make sure that they submit, remind them that they have not submitted yet, just to let them remember that they are students as well. And I think it works because since I started doing that from 60%, I went to as high as 88%. So I think the teacher really has to intervene if we want to have a very meaningful relationship with our students and their classes. But of course, some modules or some structure in Moodle wouldn't require teacher intervention most of the time. And so I do some Zoom meetings, maybe 3 times a semester. I think that's not too much to update students, to explain things that they don't understand. So I ask them, what do you want me to lecture on? What do you want me to share? Do you want to invite a development communication expert to talk what about DevCom is? Do you want me to invite a practitioner, a researcher, things like those, so that it gives them an environment that would somehow simulate a traditional learning setup. But of course, because these are UPOU students, it's really the motivation. And I always tell them that if you succeed, the glory, the victory goes to you. If you fail, you can only blame yourself. So the burden of success lies on their shoulders. And they understand that. And so if they succeed, they are very happy that they did succeed. But if they did not, they will ask an apology. Mom, sorry, I was not able to do this and blah, 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 because there's so many factors, So I always tell them, do this, you know what Pomodoro technique is? So you could try Pomodoro technique. So Pomodoro technique is a study skill that you can probably practice if you want. So it is dependent on what time do you have. So given that time, you provide 25 minutes of studying your materials. Just 25 minutes. And then take a 5-minute break. And then do it again. Maybe after 4 Pomodoros, 25, 5 minutes, 25, 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be continuous. And then you could extend the rest periods to 15 to 20 minutes. But in the process, you are studying by chunk, by bit. So you don't read 100 pages of materials all in one go. Take a break. Because your brain needs to rest. And also, because of neuroplasticity, you can teach your brain. You can rewire your brain to focus on the need or the must to be attended to. You could teach your brain to determine what to focus on. And as mentioned earlier, time management. You really have to do that. And I always tell my students, do not procrastinate. If you can do something now, do it now. Do not wait for tomorrow. Because, as we said, tomorrow never comes. So do what you can do now, because when we wake up, it's already the end of classes and we cram in the end. So it's always good to do something that you can do now and give some time. You really have to manage your time, balance your spiritual, balance your mental, balance your economic or financial, balance your environmental, like COVID now. You really have to, in other words, ADAPT, adapt. There is no way but to adapt if we want to graduate with a degree from UTE or from any other university.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor, for your answer and also your motivation. Thank you so much. So we are so sorry to the participants. Originally, we received many questions from the participants, but due to the limited time, we only can address the question from the audience. So for the participants who want to ask further questions to the speakers, you may contact them privately to their social media that has been presented for. Okay, so we are already in the last session. Okay, we finally come to the end of this seminar. And before I close the seminar, I would like to invite all the speakers to give the closing remarks in order to complete each topic. Maybe I will give the first to Dr. Benjamina, if you don't mind, to
Yeah.
give the closing remarks.
Yeah, my advice to online learners is really to be passionate, love what you are doing. This is not something that we probably not want to do because we are here. And so we have to put our hearts, our minds, and our soul in becoming a distance learner. Because in the end, it is only you who will benefit from this learning pedagogy and will only be you who will be successful in the end.
Thank you so much, Professor. Okay, and the second one, Mr. Ngabdul, you may proceed, please.
Okay, my my recommendation or my tip that I can give you is just be resilient and tech savvy. And although you are doing online learning, I believe that you can excel at it and finally you get recognized by people. That's just it. Be resilient and
Thank you.
yeah, get
Thank
excel.
you. Thank you
That's it.
so much. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Okay. Okay. And that and last, Miss Ruth Kirana, you may now state your word, please.
Yes. What I want to say last is I want to quote Charles Darwin that he said, "It is not the strongest or the most intelligent who will survive, but those who can best manage change." This pandemic changes the world and our education with it. And all we have to do is now to manage change. And I believe that all of us have the capacity to do it. So I am agreeing with Dr. Flor and Mr. Halim that we should be resilient and we have to be passionate in the face of change. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Miss Kirana. It's a very good point from you. Okay. Thank you for our conclusion. And I like to thank the speaker for the informative and also interesting presentation and all the participants for the participation. And also, thank you for the committee to make this event conducted successfully. And finally, give the applause for the speakers and for all of you, for all of us. And thank you. I'm Astri as the moderator. I apologize if there is one or two mistakes. It's a pleasure to preside the seminar, and I return the event to Mr. Rahmat.
Thank you,
Please,
Dr.
Mr.
Asri.
Rahmat.
Well, it is very interesting discussion. I thank you very much to Dr. Flor, Ruth, and Abdul Halim. And as mentioned by Dr. Asri, there are so many questions, but from Dr. Flor, answer to the question raised by Murni from Surabaya, it, from my own understanding, your answer your answer can respond to all questions raised by the participants. It is
Thank you,
very
Pa.
clear, particularly for those who just enrolled the online and distance education. Once again, thank you very much to Dr. Flor, Ruth, and also Ngabdul. I hope that we can once again meet in the same forum. And I would like to inform all of us here attending this seminar to prepare yourself for attending the 35th AAOU conference in Jeju Island in South Korea between 19 to 21st October 2021. Sorry, 22. So from now on, you can prepare the article and then you can start saving. And the last is that I would like to inform you, to all participants, to fill in the feedback for information that you can see the link here for 15 minutes. So I suggest that you write down the link and then you fill out the feedback form. As the presentation will stop in 20 minutes. This is the feedback. So once again, thank you very much for speakers, for Dr. Flor, Ruth, and Ngabdul, also to Dr. Astri. See you once again, and God bless. Thank you. Bye.